Hey, good people. Good evening to you. I am coming here to you live from Crypto Isle, as you can see in the background. If you see me moving a little bit, that's because I'm actually standing. And y'all ever heard of those standing meetings where they make people stand during meetings instead of sitting down comfortably? So the the thought process behind standing meetings is that it will and it tends to make meetings shorter instead of people getting comfortable and sitting down and then the meetings being unnecessarily long. So the point of standing meetings is to keep things shorter. And so I'm doing that tonight, okay? I'm standing as a reminder, girl, don't get too comfortable. Um, but also because I have another engagement right after this, another meeting. So that's what we're doing. I am quickly sharing this out to my audience and then we are going to jump right into it and get started. Please feel free as you're watching to share this out with someone who you feel needs to join the conversation, whether they catch the live or whether they catch the replay. Either way, the information is still good and it is still timely. So, like I said, I'm just sharing this out really quickly and then we'll go from there. Alrighty. So, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Shana Edgecombe, Shana E. I am the lead consultant for Trap Consulting. I am a pricing and positioning strategist. I do apologize in advance for any cough that you hear, and my throat is going to get drier, so I'll probably cough some more. Hence why I'm trying to make tea right now. And I don't know why, but I usually don't remember to make tea until right before I'm supposed to be going live. Um, Along with my bladder being like it's time to use the restroom before we go live. And so sometimes that's the reason why I am a few minutes late. But nonetheless, it's neither here nor there. I'm here. You're here. That's all that matters, right? So at Trap Consulting, with Trap Consulting, I love to talk about pricing. Pricing is near and dear to my heart because I used to have a huge problem with pricing, and I know that so many of you do as well for various reasons. But at the same time, I also know that I cannot talk about pricing in isolation. I know that I have to talk about pricing when it comes to how you position yourself in the market, and I have to talk about pricing in relation to mindset because pricing and mindset kind of go together. As much as I would love to yell at you and say that you're probably not charging what you should be charging, because contrary to popular belief, right? I think that sometimes the public is really quick to say that people are charging too much and engaging in price gouging. And I would wager to say that a lot of times those people don't own businesses, right? So they don't necessarily have the experience in trying to price products and services for profit. But most of the time, much of the time, we're not charging enough. And part of the reason is because we don't have the confidence to charge enough, okay? But not going to go into that too much tonight. For those of you who are just joining me, thank you so much. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I am also an accredited SME consultant. I have been working in the MSME space since 2013. Yes, 2013, when I worked at the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation. That was my real true exposure to MSMEs, but I did work with the IDB in 2012 up to very early 2013 on an MSME project. So I say all that to say, I am new to this, right? I've worked with the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs as a facilitator and a guest speaker. I have worked on a project with the Access Accelerator, SPDC, with an IDB funded project called Accelerate Bahamas. I have done different facilitation and different opportunities, including the Royal Caribbean Kickstarter program with Royal Caribbean and the Access Accelerator. So let's jump right into it, right? Now, if you have been watching me, you would have heard me say maybe 4 to 6 weeks ago, have the audacity. Have the audacity. I am all for have the audacity in 2024. There are too many of us who do not have the audacity. We have a vision, we may have a dream, we may have a goal, we may have a wish, because sometimes we don't do anything past the thought of something enough to make it a goal, right? And a lot of us have those things, but then we don't have the audacity to say, okay, let me plan this out and let me actually try to execute this thing. And then there are some of us who we have started, but very slow. And in some cases, I'm talking about myself. I'm not just talking at you, right? I have experience with this. I am all for having audacity in 2024. But here's the thing. The problem is that sometimes we have a vision that is so big, whether it is our own vision, or whether it's a God-given vision or idea or business. And when I say vision or idea, I mean a business. I mean, we're talking business, right? And 2 weeks ago, I spoke about how to know the difference between a good idea or a God idea. Sometimes we have these really big visions or ideas or things that we want to do, and then we get stuck at that because it's so big. One of the sayings that I really like is how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. Many of us don't know how to take a step back, look at things from a high level. Y'all, when you are up in the sky, you're on an airplane and you are looking down on, as you're flying in or out of the country, let's say you're flying back in. It's one of my favorite descents in the whole world, when we're coming in over the islands and you can tell the difference when the water turns into the Caribbean Sea from the Atlantic Ocean, and it turns into this beautiful blue, and then you get to pass over and through our islands, and then you see like Nassau, you're coming over it, and then it goes from being in the distance to you get closer and closer to the trees, and you're flying over the condos to get to LPIA, and then the trees get closer, and then you realize like, oh, the ground looks really close, the traffic looks close, and then you hit the runway. A lot of us don't know how to do that with our businesses. We don't know how to do that with our ideas. The reality is you have to train yourself and allow yourself to be trained to see your business, to see your idea from that really high level. Up in the sky, you are in the clouds, and then you're making an ascent, you're making an approach down to the ground, and you're getting closer where you can see the details. You have to be able to zoom out. You have to train yourself to zoom out. And if you don't have that ability, or you're like, it's not a strength, or I don't think I can do it, or I need really quick help with this because I can't do it myself. And when I say quick help, I don't mean like overnight. I just mean you need someone to guide you. Hire someone, approach someone, have a conversation with someone who you believe or who you know is good at that. Get a business coach, work with a strategist, work with a mentor. Now, some of these things you will have to pay for, or, maybe someone is willing to work with you out of the goodness of their heart, whether it be a friend or, someone owes you a favor, whatever it is, right? But you have to create space so that you can put distance between that big vision and the execution of it. Y'all, what I see TREP to be in my mind is so much bigger than I could have ever fathomed, and God is, I'm pretty sure he's still not done yet with how the vision will unfold and how we will make it even bigger and less scary. And at the same time, I've realized that I have to put my head down and I have to keep putting one foot in front of the other and manage this dream, this vision, this business that I have now. Okay? It's extremely important that we know how to eat an elephant, which is one bite at a time. How do we take that big vision and how do we execute it? There's something called reverse engineering, right? And let me look up the definition of reverse engineering. So reverse engineering is a process in which software, machines, aircraft, architectural structures, and other products are deconstructed to extract design information from them. So what exactly does that mean? How does that apply to you? Because maybe you're not into software, systems, machines, whatever it is, right? Architecture. What it means is you deconstruct that dream. So if your dream is one day you want to open your own school, okay, well, what is it going to take for you to open the school? Let's work backwards, right? Let's work backwards. So you want to open the school. Are you like, what type of school is it? Is it a dance school? Is it a musical school? Is it a magnet school? Is it a primary school? Is it a secondary school? Is it like, what type of school is it? Let's solve that, okay? All right, so once you decide what type of school it is, then you have to consider what type of rules and regulations are you going to be governed by that the government of the Bahamas may already have in place. What, like, do you have to go to NACOB? Do you have to follow some type of rules and regulations? Okay, well, what does that mean? So once you do your research, you may find that NACOB or whoever the governing body is says, okay, you need to have X amount of teachers who have this particular background. They need to have this certification. They need to have this level of teaching and training. Okay, that's fine. All right, so then you may realize that you too need that type of education or teaching, whatever it is. Okay, so how are you going to get that teaching, that training, that education? Because you may actually not be an educator. You may be, let me think of something. You may be an administrative professional. You may have no teaching background whatsoever, but you may want to be a teacher and you may want to have your own school. So then how do you go back to school in the midst of you having this job, maybe needing to keep a 9-to-5 job, even as you plan and you go back to school? So then you reverse engineer down to, okay, how do I manage my life so that I can go back to school? How long is it going to take me? Y'all see how I am reverse engineering the steps backwards so that at the least, you know where you need to start today. We cannot get swallowed up in the vision. We can't get stuck there because a lot of times when something is too big for us, we freeze. We freeze out of fear much of the time because we don't know how, because it seems so big, because we are uncomfortable, because we are afraid, because we don't know what the next step should be, right? And one of the things in entrepreneurship that you will learn if you're not yet an entrepreneur is that this don't come with an instruction manual. It really doesn't. There are times when you just kind of have to experiment and pay attention to the outcomes, pay attention as you experiment, see what goes right, see what goes well, see what could be improved, see what's the heck, no, we're not doing that again. But there is no instruction manual. Now, with that being said, if you are spirit-led, if you are a believer in God, you let God give you the download. You let God give you the strategy. You let God give you the instruction. But I can say from experience, that doesn't necessarily take away from the fear or the anxiety. But that's where your faith has to step into the gap of where you don't know what to do. And this is the instruction. And you have to bridge the gap between you don't know what to do or you're unsure. And this is what God said to do. Your faith has to bridge the gap. Now, if you are someone who, and I'll say this too, whether you are a believer in Jesus Christ or you're not, there are also going to be times when you, like I said before, you need to bring in help. You need to get a mentor. You need to get a coach. You need to get a strategist. Some of you need to pay for some sessions. Some of you need to invest in your idea. Some of you need to invest in your business. Let me tell y'all something. If you are afraid to spend money and invest in your dream, why in the world do you think someone else should invest in your dream? Why do you think someone else should give you their hard-earned money if you're not willing to invest your money in the thing that you say is your dream? I don't care how much you feel like you cannot afford it, that you cannot pay someone, that you cannot whatever. If you cannot pay for someone yet, you go and you, if there's someone who is on social media or they're on YouTube, they have videos, they have books, they have ebooks, they have trainings, whatever it is that you can buy at a low cost or no cost, you go and consume their training. There are people who, and I'm talking to you from the standpoint of being a business owner and being a future business owner if you're not yet a business owner. There are people who are going to watch you. Some people will watch you for years. They are watching your consistency. They're watching how you show up. They are watching what you produce, what you put out. Okay, they're watching your quality. They may be watching because they are impressed by you, but they don't have the ability right now to pay you. They may be watching you because they want to pay you, but they may not have the opportunity yet to come to you, right? And when I say an opportunity, meaning that, they know you're great at this thing, but maybe the company isn't ready to go in that direction yet, right? Or maybe that person isn't ready to go in that direction yet, okay? But they know that when they are, they want you. So you have to continue to show up, all right? And I say that because even for me, there are people who I watch and I'm like, they are on my vision board, okay? They are on my vision board. There's a particular lady, she does retreats. She does business retreats. She does luxury business retreats. One day, booze, I am going to be on her business retreat. Now, how much is the retreat going to cost me? Based on the things that she does and wherever they are around the world, the retreat could cost me, including her price for her retreat plus plane for me to get there and spending money, it might be like $12, $50, and $1,000, okay? But it's on my board. It's on my vision board. And I have been watching her. I've been consuming her content. I've been purchasing smaller ticket item things from her from, I want to say 2015, 2016, okay? So I've been following her. And she's been hitting it and she's been consistent and I've seen her growth. So why am I saying that? Y'all, I'm not gonna sit up in here and play in y'all face, but pay me for a pricing strategy. Pay me to join my employee to trap program and I've not spent a dime with anybody else. I have the courses, I have the templates, I have the videos, I have the books, I have all of that. I invest, okay? You have to invest. If you want people to spend money with you, how? How you want people to spend money with you, but you want to be cheap? But you expect people aren't going to be cheap with you when it's time to spend money with you. How does that work? We have to come into this mentality where it's called reaping and sowing. That's biblical, right? Reaping and sowing. It's biblical. Some of us, too many of us, want things. We want to reap the benefits of things that we've not sown into. Y'all hear me? Some of us want the benefits of things that we have not sown into. Here's how you can sow. Here's how you can sow. Knowledge. Learn. I have heard over the years, I've been in this space for several years. I've heard variations of, why should I have to? I don't want to have to learn that. I don't feel I should be bothered to do that. I don't care about that, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to learn about it. Why should I have to learn how to tell people about my business? Why can't they just give me the money? Um, why am I learning how to do all of this if they're not giving a lot of money? Y'all, it's wild. It's wild to me sometimes how we go on about things and opportunities. We wouldn't want people to say those things about us and what it is that we're doing, but some of us have that attitude. You sow in learning. That's like, again, for believers. Sometimes you got to get in your word. Every time that you need knowledge, you could do, yeah, okay, word of knowledge and all of that, but you got to get in your word. How else you going to know the word? You got to get in the word. And getting in the word will help you know the word. And when I say know the word, I mean know Jesus. Get in the word. We want the benefits of a close relationship. We want the benefits of the favor, and then we don't want to spend the time. It doesn't work that way. Okay? That's one of the ways you can sow. Another way you can sow is, hey, if you approach someone and you say, all right, I am willing, if you're willing, to work for free so that I can learn. I just want to learn. Can I tell you that that's how I got into flowers, by the way? For those of you who know me as a floral designer as well, that's how I got into flowers. Because I was a planner. And I looked around the market at the time. This was 2012. And I said, it seems like most of the other planners that I come across have another skill that they do. So some were doing wedding invitations, some were doing like different things. I don't remember, that was a while ago. I remember wedding invitations, right, and programs, or doing graphic design for the wedding invitations. And I said, what could I do that would help set me apart? And I remembered that wherever I go, I take photos of flowers. And I said, maybe there's something there. Let me see if I could get trained in floral design. And so I approached a business and I was turned down. It didn't deter me. I approached another business and I said, would you mind if I come in once a week on Saturdays? I don't need to be paid. I just want to learn. And the person said, yes. Come this Saturday. And from then, after that day, I went there every Saturday. Paid. I didn't ask to be paid. Remember, I said I will learn for free. I didn't ask to be paid. But the person, the manager at the time, offered to pay me after the first day that I was there because they needed the help. And that's how I started in floral design. And it's been 10 years, okay? It's literally been 10 years. I started December 2013. It's been over 10 years of me being in this industry. But that's because I was willing to sow my time so that I could learn. Now everyone doesn't have that flexibility, right? I was younger. I was like mid to moving towards late 20s. I had the time. I had the resources. I had the 9 to 5. So it wasn't like, I was relying on that Saturday money, right? Everyone doesn't have that, but it may be an option for a handful of you who are listening to me. It may be a good thing for you to consider for those of you who can do it. All you have to do, sometimes all we have to do is show up and present ourselves. And we never know the course of which our lives could take. Never. Let me tell y'all, hear me. Never would I have thought that I would be a floral designer, a florist, whatever you want to call it. Never. Never saw this for me. Never saw myself having a floral design business. Never saw myself making anything. I was like a crafts person. I like to do crafts a little bit when I was in high school, and I completely stopped. Got into the real world. All right, I'm in the world of business now. I deep in the books, studying. Okay, never saw it for myself, but God saw it. And it's because I had an open mind and I said, okay, well, what would it hurt for me to just show up, for me to volunteer myself? Somebody, somebody needs to hear that, and somebody needs to pick that up and run with it. You have to show up. You have to volunteer yourself. That's sewing, and you never know where it can take you. Okay? So, I I want you to remember too that sewing, and when I say start small, I'm giving you an example. Sewing can take years. There was a tech conference held at Crypto Isle in December called Oasis on Chain, and at that tech conference, I met someone who I follow on LinkedIn. She's in Jamaica, Ingrid. And I approached Ingrid and I said, hey, I follow you. She has great content on LinkedIn, right? Concerning entrepreneurship, investments, um, angel investment, etc. in Jamaica. And so I was having a conversation about her, a brief conversation about the scene here and what it's like here versus for her what it's like in Jamaica. And she said, oh, okay, so here in the Bahamas, you guys are where we were 17 years ago. And I said, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? It's going to take us 17 years to get to the point where Jamaica is, where they are, y'all, for those of you who don't know, they are high in innovation in the region, high in investing in entrepreneurs, high in angel investing, in different types of investing. They have a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem, the things that we're trying to build up here. And she said it took them 17 years. And at some point, she was one of the few people talking about these things and basically crying out into the wilderness. And I was there like, ma'am, you're telling me this is going to take 17 years. She said, well, you know, it might actually take 10 because technology has advanced so much. And I'm still thinking in my head, like, gosh, dang, we already been at this for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Like, you telling me this can be another 10? But y'all, that's sewing. That is sewing. I'm not going to speak too soon, and I'm not going to speak on what it is, but the years of we got to keep moving this country forward when it comes to certain things can culminate it, and has culminated in some of us being invited to get feedback on opinions, being invited to pitch certain things. And I'm sitting here like, whew, if we had stopped because it didn't seem to get the traction that we thought it should have gotten by now, we wouldn't be on these meetings, we wouldn't be on these calls, we wouldn't be at these tables, we wouldn't be having these conversations. And I'm not telling you this to brag to you, I'm telling you this because you need to keep going. And the starting small sometimes is if you want to put on those events, it may only have 4 people there at first. It may only have 7 or 8 people. But one day, and it literally only takes one day. It takes one person, it takes one phone call, it takes one connection. One, I see what you've been doing. I see that you've been consistent. Let's talk. It can happen suddenly, but it's the consistency in the small things. The Bible says, do not despise small things. I was just reading that in Zechariah earlier today. I wish I didn't highlight that scripture. Do not despise the small things. Not beginnings, the small things. Okay? We have to remember that that's a part of sowing as well. It's the time, it's the energy, it's the effort consistently. Sometimes it's over years. People have this thing on social media, and I'm so glad it's calibrating itself, where there used to be this thing of, oh, entrepreneurship is the fastest way to become a millionaire. It's it'll happen overnight. When reality is, it takes on average at least 10 years to become an overnight success. All these people, not all, a lot of these people who are billionaires who we talk about, they have so much wealth, and they're filthy rich and all this stuff. Y'all, they have faced rejections 10, 20 years, bankruptcy, anxiety because they have staff and they don't know how they're going to pay them, um, begging for money sometimes. Y'all look at Jeff Bezos. Y'all go read the story of Amazon. Go read the story of Amazon. Read the story of Amazon and tell me what you think. Not right now, after the live. Go read the story of Amazon. Amazon made no profit for years, years and years. But Amazon also morphed into, from this idea of making books available, because it was supposed to be like I think it was like an online bookstore. That's all it was supposed to be. Or kind of changed the way that books were distributed and handled. And it turned into something much, much bigger. The vision changed, the vision evolved, the vision shifted. Do not be married to the vision. Do not be married to the product or service. Do not be married to the business idea. Do not be married to the business itself. There are so many people who didn't strike success until their third or fourth business. But we just don't know that. We think that, oh, this is my baby and I have to make this work. In our culture, unfortunately, and I would even say in the wider Caribbean, we're not necessarily bred or thought to think about not just succession planning, but we're not taught to think, okay, what happens if I want to sell my business? There are some people who their intent really is to grow the business, take it as far as it can go, and then to sell it because they know it's a great idea and they want to sell it so that they could go start something else that they love, start something else that they're passionate about. Okay, don't and so my point is to say they're not married to, I have to have this business, I have to own this business, I have to run this business. Sometimes things change. Sometimes people shift. Sometimes God tells you to shift. I don't know if any of you have heard of Beauty Bakery. Beauty Bakery is a beauty brand and very successful brand, available in different outlets. I personally loved the matte lipsticks because they don't move. When I say that they don't move, unless you put oil on your lips or you eat something oily, you could go to sleep with your lipstick on that you put on from this morning and your lipstick still looks the same that next morning. You could wear it that next day. Okay, you don't have to touch up. That's how serious it was. Okay, the founder of Beauty Bakery said that she felt shifted in a different direction, and she is now, what is she doing? And this was a surprise. This was a surprise to a lot of people because, girl, you didn't even sell the business. You won't sell the business. You didn't turn the business over to anybody. You were just like, I'm closing. You didn't try to make no financial gain off the business. You didn't try to step aside and put someone else as CEO to run the business. She shut it down. And she shut down her religious beliefs. She shut it down because she said her taste buds have changed. That's her wording. And her religious beliefs have caused this. Can you imagine the turmoil? Y'all, listen to me. Can y'all imagine the potential turmoil? I'm not saying she felt this because I don't know the woman, but the potential turmoil that she may have faced in getting that instruction to turn down her multi-million dollar profitable beauty business, not sell it, not, no, like shut it down. Think on that. As a believer, specifically, you cannot be married. You cannot be married to the business. You have to be married to the vision that God gives you, and when the vision shifts, you got to shift to it. It just is what it is. Painful, I know, but that's just what it is, right? You have to define what success looks for you. For some of you, ain't nothing small that you would call successful. But I say this, you actually executing and taking that plan and starting to put things in place and you getting your first sale, some of you need to consider that a success because maybe you've never followed through before. And yeah, okay, you might want to sell out at your first pop-up, or you may want to sell out your first batch of inventory, or you may want to sell out your event, or you may want to sell out whatever it is. You might want to be oversubscribed, and that's your version of success. But for some of you, the version of success is the fact that you even put a product together to sell at all and made it public and made it known to the public. I'm wrapping up. I want to say this too, and y'all, if you're not on LinkedIn and you're a business, if you're an entrepreneur or you are an aspiring entrepreneur, get on LinkedIn. Get on LinkedIn, update your LinkedIn bio, update your LinkedIn profile, and then go look around, okay? There are some people doing some great things and having some great conversation. I'm not talking about, like, don't get discouraged if you feel like, oh, I don't have announcements to make, because a lot of LinkedIn can come across as, oh, I'm excited to announce that I'm starting today as an associate at whatever, and you may feel like, oh, I'm not doing any of those things. Bump that, forget that. Look around and see some of the voices that are in your industry that are outside of your industry. One person that I started following, well, I've been following Chris for a while, Chris Do. Chris Do, okay? And I discovered this lady named Jewel Kim, Jule Kim, because of Chris Do. Because he does live audio calls, and much of the time now, she makes visual art out of them, okay? And she made one from last week's call that I got to be a part of. And one of the things that she quoted based on the calls was, this is a person who constantly creates more obstacles instead of just doing the thing. Now I'm taking a piece. This is an excerpt now, right? Keep up with me as I wrap up. This is a person who constantly creates more obstacles instead of just doing the thing. Some of you do not move. Some of you do not start small because you constantly think, oh, I have to do one more thing before I'm ready. I have to learn one more thing before I'm ready. I have to have one more conversation before I'm ready. I have to do some more research before I'm ready. I have to get a certification before I'm ready. I have to make one more call before I'm ready. My documents are not ready. Y'all, I talking to myself too, okay? I've openly talked about how I am a recovering perfectionist. And sometimes that gal is put her head out there and say, she rears her head. And I have to speak to her when I realize, because I don't always realize right away. But sometimes that gal just be like, girl, you can send that like that? Girl, you could do better than that. Girl, go over it one more time. You sure you like how that sound? You sure that number high enough? You sure you covered everything in those terms and conditions? You sure? Let me know if you understand where I'm coming from. And the reality is, sometimes we have to remember that done is better than perfect. I'm not saying slap things together. I'm not a proponent of that, but done is better than perfect. Some of y'all don't need to learn not one more thing. You don't need to talk to not one more person. You don't need to pay for not one more thing. You just need to do. And Jewel has a very good list. It's three things on the list that she outlined in the post she made earlier. So go on LinkedIn and look for Jewel, Jule, Kim. Now, why am I not dropping the link in the comments? Because one of the things about business is, babes, you can't be lazy, okay? Don't slide in my inbox. Don't slide in anyone's inbox talking about, oh, I need help. How do I start a business? Did you Google that first? Did you go on YouTube first? Because that's a very general question that I can't help you with. And that shows you did no research. Now, had you come to us with very specific questions, then we might be more inclined to answer you. But you asking me a question that's very Googleable, okay? So I'm telling you, take the initiative, go on LinkedIn, look for Jule Kim, Jule Kim. In her three-part list, she outlines three major takeaways from Chris Du's audio. By the way, y'all, go follow Chris Du as well. D-O, Chris. C-H-R-I-S, Do. D-O. Go follow him. And I'm going to highlight the third thing that she has on this list. You go find it for the first two. She says, stop trying to learn from the sidelines. Action is the best teacher you can ask for. Malcolm Gladwell, in his book called Outliers, says it takes 10,000 hours of intensive practice to achieve mastery of a complex skill or material. 10,000 hours of intensive practice. Now, he referenced some research. I'm wrapping up here. He referenced some research in which a psychology professor named Anders Ericsson, he was the co-author of that research. And Professor Ericsson said, yes, intensive practice is part of it. But another key part of it is how good your teacher is. Y'all heard me? Another key component of mastery is how good your teacher is. Now, for those of us who are believers, we know that God is the ultimate teacher. Jesus Christ is the ultimate model, okay? And then he can also lead us to people. You cannot be successful in entrepreneurship on your own. You need teachers. You need mentors. You need a community. You don't just need customers. You need so much more than that. You need the people who are going to encourage you to keep going because they believe that you can. You don't just need the people who are going to buy from you to help you stay in business. You need the people who may never buy from you, but they put your names in rooms and they put your products and your services in rooms that you don't have access to directly. You need people who are going to push you and who are going to support you, who are going to teach you, who are going to help you shorten the time span of which something may take because of their knowledge. You need all of those people. You need your own ecosystem as an entrepreneur. No man is an island. You cannot be an entrepreneur on your own. Now, as a shameless plug, as I wrap up, I am giving Vault access as of Thursday. I know I said I would do this before, but I'm giving you Vault access to videos that have either never been released before, they just been sitting in my drive, or they are videos that were available in a private community that's not open to everyone, right? and that has not been released on my pages. I'm giving you access. How do you get access? You sign up at the website at the link trapconsulting.com, and on Thursday you will get an email with access to the vault. It is a YouTube playlist so you can binge watch. Now, once you join that list, you will also have first dibs to find out more information about my upcoming group coaching program called Employee to Trap. Now, what the heck is TRAP? TRAP is short for entrepreneur. It's employee to entrepreneur, employee to trap. This group coaching program is for those of you who are 9-to-5ers, those of you who are creatives, and you have a business or you have a business idea, and you need to know how to run this side hustle, how to run this business successfully while you're also on your 9-to-5 or your 10-to-7 or your 11-to-8 job. Okay? The reality is that while many of us dream of working in our businesses full time, many of us either don't get to do that, and we don't get to do that sometimes because we quit before we're able to, or we really need to stay in this job for now until we have set up the business well enough that it can sustain us and we can jump off that cliff. And it feels like a cliff, I know from experience. Okay? So this job is for those of you who have a side hustle, who have a business, you're running it part-time, and you also have a full-time job. And it is going to be an extended program. This is not a 2-week program. This is not a 4-week program. This is a couple of months program in which you are going to invest in yourself. You're going to up the resources that you have. You're going to learn how to set up standard operating procedures for your business. You are going to learn how to automate some things, because guess what? You cannot do all the things when you also have a full-time job, and especially if you're running your business by yourself. Of course, you're going to learn about pricing and positioning, because I can't not talk about it. We're going to go deep into your marketing, your research. We're going to talk about what exactly it is that you sell and who you sell to and how do you reach them. We're going to talk about so many things. We'll talk about pitching. It's going to be a lot, and it's going to be amazing, and it's going to be power-packed, and I'm going to hold you accountable, because that is something that many of us need. We need accountability. We need to know that someone cares. We need to know that we have things to do, that someone is going to check in on us. We need to know that we have someone we can ask questions to. Okay? So, once again, go to trapconsulting.com, or you can look for the link in the description box. Go sign up for Vault Access. You'll get that access on Thursday. You'll get an email with the link to get in. And then you will be the first to hear, for those of you on the list, on the email list, you will be the first to hear about this program. This program does not have an indefinite enrollment period. There will be an enrollment window. It will open on a certain day and it will close on a certain day. And then you will have to wait to see if I will do it again this year. I do not think so, because of the length of the program. I probably won't launch this again until January or February. Let's just say spring. Okay? I will not open it again until spring of 2024, because when I say it's going to be deep and I'm going to be the mentor, I'm going to be hands-on, and then there will be some special guest interviewers as well, and they will share their expertise. It's a commitment, and the great part about it is it's a monthly payment, so you don't have to worry, unless you want to, about paying in full. You can make payments. There is a plan available. Okay? So thank you for watching. I know I said this was going to be short because I was standing, and yet again I lied. unintentionally. But a lie is a lie. Anyway, thank you for being here. You could have been doing anything else in the whole world with me, but you decided to spend some time with me, and for that, I'm always grateful. I will see you guys right here next week, and I'm so glad I didn't cough as much as I thought I was. Thank you all. See you next time. Bye.